Good morning. It is me, the hockey guru, Serge Bogosian here. We have a lot to talk about this morning. What an interesting night again in the NHL. Typically, we've been having 2 games a night, and the second game usually has been very exciting, and they didn't disappoint last night. So, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the phenomenal game that was the Sharks against the Knights. We're going to talk about Boston and Tampa Bay, and we're going to talk a little bit about the USA and Canada rosters that's being released for the World Championships. Oh, and also, shout out to Tiffany. We're going to start off with the Boston-Tampa Bay game. All right, so the Boston-Tampa Bay game, Boston won the first game fairly easily. We called out Braden Point, the center for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He had a terrible game. It was a -5. And what happens? Braden Point has a phenomenal game yesterday. He gets a goal and 3 assists after we call him out. He basically leads the Tampa Bay Lightning single-handedly to beat the Boston Bruins last night. Surprisingly, Tampa Bay outshot the Boston Bruins yesterday 31-20. Tuukka Rask, who's not had a very good playoff, we've been ragging him all playoff, but as he came up pretty solid, and he kept the Bruins in there, and it was fairly close. They got a late goal to make it 3-2. Lot of buzzing going on in the end of the third period, but Tampa Bay gets the empty netter and they win. They got their top line again was on the ice for both goals. The 2 defensemen scored the goals, Krug and McAvoy. But got four assists for the big line of Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak. We're tied. We're going back to Boston 1-1, and we see this series going Tampa Bay's way. Tampa Bay's going to win this series. Tampa Bay is going to wake up eventually and score some goals. Now, I'm calling 2 guys out today. All right, Kucherov and Stamkos need to score goals. This is a team that was carried by those 2 the whole season, and that's what's going to have to happen if the Tampa Bay Lightning want to win this series. All right, so the next game. Now, as you guys have known, I don't like the Las Vegas Golden Knights for a couple of reasons, mainly because they shut me out the whole year, and mainly because I think they need to pay their dues to win a Stanley Cup. And I'm not going to rant about it. I thought it was a great game by both sides. The Sharks and the Knights. The Shark Tank was loud. The Shark Tank was exciting. Maybe not as loud as in Vegas. They got off to a good start. They dominated the first period. They outshot them almost like a 2-1 margin. Scoreless first period, however. Fleury was being Fleury. And then Sharks get on the board early in the second. Timo Meier with a 1-0 lead. And it looked like the Sharks were going to cruise here. Didn't happen though. Vegas was Vegasing again. 3 unanswered goals right after that. Miller, Marchessault, and Smith. And what happens? They're up to 3-1. And again, you think, here we go again. Vegas is going to be Vegas, and they're gonna easily win. It turned like it looked like the Sharks, and it looked like Vegas, and then it turned again in the third period. You give Fleury a 3-1 lead in the third period. He's usually going to shut the door. However, he didn't this time. 2 goals by the Ducks, 1 really late. And by Kane and Hurdle with about 2 minutes to go, tied the game, sent this game into overtime. And here we go again, back-to-back overtime games. What happened this time? Wasn't the same. It was not the same as the last overtime game. The Fleury made some amazing saves to keep him in there, and then an unbelievable, beautiful goal by William Karlsson to end the game and to send the Vegas Golden Knights to a 2-1 lead. Now let's talk about William Karlsson. William Karlsson was drafted in 2011, 53rd overall, all right, by the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. He didn't get much games in. He played 18 games in the NHL for the Ducks. He went down to Norfolk. He was in the AHL for quite a bit, and then he was traded to Columbus. He didn't play much in the beginning there with Columbus either. He was in the AHL, got a call up. He played the last 2 seasons with Columbus. The first year he scored 9 goals. The second year he scored 6 goals. And then the Columbus Blue Jackets don't protect him. And we know the rest of the story. 43-goal season. He's going to be winning a couple of trophies this year. and he scored another big goal. He's got 4 goals and 9 points in this playoff. I think offensively he's their star. He's their MVP right now. He also obviously you have to pick an MVP. You have to go with Fleury as well. But yeah, what can we say? There you have it. The Las Vegas Golden Knights are up 2-1. This is going to be a long series. It's not going to be over that easily. I expect the Sharks to bounce back. After the first game, the last 2 games have gone either way. Both teams have played great. Both teams have given us exciting hockey. The shots last night, 42-33 in favor of the Sharks. Fleury had a great game, but Fleury also blew a 3-1 lead. So there you go. One other thing I want to touch about. All right. So I've been getting a lot of flack from friends and family and a whole bunch of people, and I've been getting this flack for a lot of years. You're a Canadian. You should be cheering for the Jets. Why? We talked about this. Why should be? So I did a little bit of research on how many Canadian players are there on each team in this playoffs. So the 3 least amount of Canadian players are on the Winnipeg Jets, Washington Capitals, and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Those teams have 7 Canadian players on the roster right now playing. Nashville Predators have 8. Tampa Bay Lightning have 12. And the 2 teams that have the most Canadians, the Sharks, have 13. And there you have it, the Las Vegas Golden Knights with 14 Canadian players. So if you want to cheer for Canadian players, cheer for the Las Vegas Golden Knights or the San Jose Sharks. All right? Don't cheer for Winnipeg. Why am I cheering for Winnipeg? I'm not from Winnipeg. Winnipeg is in Canada, but it's in the middle of nowhere. Sorry, guys in Winnipeg. Like, I'm from Toronto. I don't associate with the rest of all of Canada. And, you know, Winnipeg is great. I've been to Winnipeg once. Thank God it was in July because it wasn't minus 50. But if you go to Winnipeg in January, not going to be pleasant. It's like minus whatever, minus infinity. Anyways, not to knock Winnipeg, but this is a little explanation why I don't have to cheer for a Canadian team just because they're a Canadian team. The last thing I'm going to touch on is the IHF, the International Hockey Federation's World Championships are starting on May the 4th, so I believe on Thursday. We have a bit of the rosters for Canada and the U.S., so we got some really good players here. And they will be adding players as the players get eliminated. It's up to them if they want to go. On the Canadian roster, some big names: Connor McDavid, Ryan O'Reilly, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Jordan Eberle, Braden Shen, Josh Bailey, Darnell Nurse, Kemper, and McElhaney and net. But yeah, so that's the Canadian roster. We don't have the rest of the rosters other than the U.S. Some of the U.S. players are going to be Patrick Kane, Johnny Gaudreau, Dylan Larkin, Chris Kreider, Keith Kincaid and net. So it's going to be a good tournament. There's going to be some good players. Doesn't look like I would have liked to see Jonathan Quick there, but again, this is not a tournament that you have to go to. It's a tournament that's optional. It's a tournament that if you want to represent your country, here's your chance. But it's going to be great to see, you know, Connor McDavid going up against Patrick Kane. I would have loved to see Austin Matthews go. He has not been added to the roster yet. I don't know if he is going, but you know, you can't knock people for not going, but you also want them to participate in this great tournament. So there you have it, the IHF World Championships, which is there every year, is going to be starting very shortly. Now, if the Pittsburgh Penguins were to get knocked out in the next week or so, maybe Sidney Crosby goes, maybe Phil Kessel goes to play for Team USA. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll give you more of the rosters as we go along. We'll give you more of the schedules. We will cover it, and we'll tell you what's going on. Now in this tournament, I'm cheering for Canada, obviously. Team Canada all the way. Tell me who you want to win. Obviously, you want most of my viewers right now. Most of our viewers on this channel are 80%, I believe, U.S. About 20 or 15, 16% Canada. We also have people watching from Latvia, from. We had one viewer from India. We had one viewer from Cambodia. Go Cambodia hockey team. Let's grow hockey over there. Anyways, there you have it. Serge Bogosian, the hockey guru. I did guarantee a San Jose Sharks victory last night. It did not happen. I apologize to the Sharks fans, but don't count the Sharks out. They will be back. They will be back in Game 4, and most likely will give another great game. Now tonight, Pittsburgh, Washington, Game 3, and another great series, Nashville, Winnipeg. All these series are great. All these series are close. Great hockey. Great time to be an NHL hockey fan. And there you have it. Ironically, a Toronto Blue Jay is just flying. Not a Toronto Blue Jay. A Blue Jay is flying in my backyard here. As you know, I'm from Toronto. A Toronto Blue Jay. Just irony. That's all I got to say. We will see you tomorrow. Enjoy the games and enjoy May 1st. Ciao.